are going to be challenged. I'll say this. I think Denver and the Clippers are going to be their toughest task. I think the Clippers have wings that will give the Knicks a lot of problems, and I think Denver is just the best team in the Western Conference.
Don't discount the Lakers either. Anthony Davis has woken up.
Yes, he has. Just make sure he doesn't watch Kevin Durant in warm-ups because he might get some ideas.
Ed Durant might miss the rest of the regular season.
I saw that. What a mess.
Oh.
What a mess.
My problem, and we'll bash Davis in the future, I'm
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
Because he will earn it.
Yes.
But enjoy this while it's happening.
Yes.
Because he's been the man.
Oh, he's been killing it. It does appear that he takes it to a different level when he's healthy and LeBron's not in. But the problem I have with that is I saw this for 8 years. You're not that guy. You put up that guy's numbers. But for whatever reason, and we've seen players like this throughout history, those numbers, as Hall of Fame as they are, don't always translate to wins. Like Allen Iverson, for big chunks of his career, his numbers didn't translate to wins. Tracy McGrady is a perfect example.
Right.
I mean, we see these guys all the time. Guys who are like, I'm not even talking about your volume scorers on awful teams. I'm not talking about like the Kemba Walkers of the world. I'm talking about truly great players who there's no reason from the eye test that they shouldn't be 1A guys on title contending teams. I'm talking about people like that. McGrady, Iverson, Davis all come to mind. And for whatever reason, their teams just kind of pets along at, somewhere around the middle of the pack type of pace, middle to lower of the middle, and they just never pop. But guys putting up similar numbers, LeBron, KD, Curry, whoever, find ways to keep their teams, Kobe Bryant, keep their teams in relevant competitiveness. And there's some type of intangible or skill to that Davis doesn't have and LeBron does.
Right. But he still has to realize that it's important to be productive even when the person with the intangible is back.
Yes. Well, that's the problem I have with Davis is
because you can't leave it all on him at his age.
Right. And other than the little run they had in 2020 where they were able to capitalize and win the title, when they've played together, Davis takes such a passive approach. You can't have that, to your point, Rich, and you're absolutely right. He needs to be aggressive, and LeBron wants him to be. LeBron don't want to do all this work.
No. And I will say, in some of these games where these 30 and 15s have been popping up regularly, in a couple that they've lost, if you break down the numbers, his fourth quarters, he was invisible. He ends with 30 and 15, but in the fourth quarter, he had like 4 and 1.
Right.
In the losses. And that's where you need him the most. I don't know. I can't figure the guy out. None of us can.
No, he's just he's an enigma. I there's nothing else to say about it. I'll say this, getting back to the Knicks before we take our first break, getting back to the Knicks over this 7-game stretch, what would you consider success? Because this is a pretty good stretch, but you're not playing the cream of the league, but you're playing a bunch of good teams and one cream of the league team in Denver. So
you might not beat Denver and one, depending on what happens in the other one, which LA team you'll lose to.
Right.
So they beat the Clippers, they may lose to the Lakers.
Right.
And vice versa.
Yeah. See, I'm going to say
if they go 4-3 or less, it's not a success. Well, if they go 4-3, I'm okay.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
They go 3-4, it's not a success.
I think they beat the Clippers and lose to the Lakers only because the Lakers are on the back end of the road back-to-back. I think they'll be rested coming into LA tomorrow because they have today off. And I think that will allow them to, and they didn't have to go far because their last game was in Sacramento. So they're already in the state. So I think that will help them.
And them losing that game last night was not because there was something wrong or there's a problem.
No. They lost to a better team who
They got outscored.
right. Well, what did we
the game was close.
It was. And
Jeez, the Kings just put up numbers so effortlessly.
And what did we say yesterday? That the Knicks, if they could hold them to about 115 or so, they'll have a shot. Well, what did the Knicks score? 117. So they had to hold the Kings about 6 points or so below their season average, and they couldn't do it. The Kings basically scored their average, and the Knicks outperformed their average by a couple of points. So the Kings beat them by a margin that is indicative of what the two teams are right now, basically. This game went really according to script.
And, it is. I can't believe how hard it is to hold that team to under 120 points.
Oh, they're so machine-like, aren't they?
They are so much fun to watch, dude.
Oh,
that is a blast.
And Fox didn't play last night, did he?
He did.
Oh, he did play. Okay.
He did. He had 23, 7 assists, 4 steals.
Because he was listed as out on the injury report.
In 30 minutes. He was. But he went through warm-ups and said he wanted to play.
Hey, there you go.
I think he sees, for the first time since he's been here, he sees the finish line.
Yep.
I mean, not only did they have some good scoring, Sabonis had a triple-double.
Yep.
Barnes and Keegan Murray were in double figures, as was Herter.
Hell,
Lyles had 16 and Monk had 19 off the bench.
Hell, he says since the first time Fox has been here, he sees the finish line. Since the first time Fox has been on the earth, and maybe longer, the Kings see the finish line. It's been since 2004. When was Fox born? Probably about then, right? Maybe a year or two earlier. Like he's probably like 2001 or something. Like something like that. It's like it's been forever, man.
Knicks starters were fine. Brunson played.
Yeah, Barrett had 25.
Yeah, Randall 23, 10 and 5. Yep. They didn't get as much out of their bench. But yeah, Obi Toppin played 11 minutes, and if someone's complaining about that, show me what Obi Toppin's done to earn more minutes.
Yeah, I've never been an Obi Toppin guy. He's as bland as white toast as far as I'm concerned. The guy is just a blah, rank and file, nothing to see here type NBA player.
He's big and athletic.
Yeah, he's indistinguishable from like every forward. Like there's like no difference between him and like Trey Jones, for example. Like
he hasn't done anything to distinguish himself.
Yeah, I agree. De'Aaron Fox is a little older than I thought he was. He's 25. So sorry, Fox.
Yeah,
I apologize.
But Sabonis 24, 13 and 10 was another.
There we go.
Is he the best player in the league that gets absolutely zero attention?
He's definitely one of them.
If not, he's close.
Yeah, that would be an interesting discussion. I don't know if it's the top 5, but it's definitely an interesting discussion because, I mean, there's a few of those guys. One guy that comes to mind too, and it's because of who he plays with. Jamal Murray's a beast.
Yeah.
Like, he's a great, great guard. Siakam's another one.
There's a lot of recognition with Murray because of where he plays. Sabonis is in Indiana.
Was in Indiana. He's in Sacramento now, obviously.
Or in Sacramento. Was in Indiana. I mean, they're two places where you don't get a lot of attention.
Right.
That might change this year if the Kings do get some attention during the playoffs. But yeah, it's pretty much, I agree with Murray. He doesn't get the credit he deserves.
He doesn't get attention because Jokic gets the attention.
Right.
People know who he is, just like I believe they know who Sabonis is, but they don't really know how great either guy is. I mean, remember, just a couple of years ago, Murray was dueling with like Mitchell and Lillard and winning. I mean, he was putting up 50-point games in the playoffs. This guy's a monster.
Right.
So anyway, that's good stuff. All right, let's take our first break. We'll come back. We got the question of the day up next. We'll finish out the hour with a little bit more in the way of NBA basketball. We also have some news as far as the NFL is concerned. You're still looking at the draft coming up. So a little news and notes there, but a lot of basketball this hour. We'll have baseball in hour 2. Question of the day is next. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
All righty, we're back, and it's time now for the radio question of the day.
The University of Florida is recruiting with the mirror, mirror on the wall technique. I am KO, back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
You've been working hard, doing the right thing, and paying your taxes, and putting your hard-earned money in the Medicare piggy bank all your life. And now it's time to break the piggy bank and get something back. Medicare. If you didn't know it, Medicare is health insurance for people over 65, and you've paid for it with your tax dollars. Medicare plans now have more benefits than ever. That's good news, especially if you're like me and looking forward to paying as little as possible for good health insurance. Call and find out what Medicare plan is best for you. Save your time. It's valuable. We've already done the research for you, and in one quick phone call, you can learn how to get the best Medicare plan designed exactly for you. Hey, it's one of the most important decisions in your life. Let us help you through it. Here's our number. Call 65 Plus Medicare now at 855-301-5506, 855-301-5506, 855-301-5506. That's 855-301-5506.
The University of Florida's athletic department is recruiting Gen Zers with high-end photo shoots. The Gators recently installed a new virtual production studio conceptualized by View Technologies. The tech offers athletes access to unique content for creative media and branding purposes. Florida's massive new LED screen was specifically designed to blur the line between the physical and digital realms. Question: do you think nil deals are generating a beneficial or detrimental amount of virtual content?
I don't know that it's beneficial or detrimental, to be honest with you, because the truth of the matter is it's not really like content is so omnipresent that like I just gonna join the chorus of noise. I think. I mean, ultimately, branded content is really just it's everywhere. I mean, this is branded content. Everything's branded content. You just walk down a street in any city, and it's everywhere. I mean, so I don't think you can be beneficial or detrimental. I think the best you could hope for, really what every ad agency strives for, is to produce content that is memorable one way or the other. I do believe in the modern world, the old axiom of any attention is good attention applies, because honestly, it's just so hard to get noticed because of how much there is. But brands, what else are you going to do? I mean, the only way to have a chance of getting noticed is to try to produce content, to try to advertise, to try to market yourself. So that's never going to go away. It's one of the most foundational businesses in all of the business world, is the business of getting people to know about and patronize your business. I mean, there's not many things that are more foundational to the success of any enterprise than acquiring new customers. And that takes advertising and marketing. And that's just what this all boils down to.
Right. And if you have a brand and you don't do anything with it, why have a brand?
Right. Right. So
you have to build your brand. And right now, content's a way to build your brand that people understand.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that it's so nice to see these athletes, these young athletes, getting their chance to actually make something off of their own industry for the first time in the history of college athletics, at least officially. Of course, we know that they've always had, things under the table. That's not breaking news, but to have it above board like this, so to speak.
UCLA.
Yeah, UCLA, exactly. I think
the legend of Sam Gilbert lives on.
There you go.
He was their biggest benefactor, and every player in those years got paid.
There you go.
One way or another.
So I think this is really good. Ultimately, you mentioned the Clemson facility. This Florida thing sounds like it's about a half a step down from that. So we're going to see more and more of this as this new NIL world kind of matures. And it brings me back to what I was saying a few days ago. I do think it's important that we at some point get some type of out of bounds markers, parameters around this, just to, and I actually think the old Jesuit dictum that was embodied by Vince Lombardi, among others, freedom within discipline, is really the best way forward for anything. I think that you want freedom, but you want it within a set of rules and regulations and confines, aka discipline. Because if you don't have that piece of it, freedom and chaos are the same thing. Without parameters, freedom becomes chaos. Not to be overly philosophical, but that's what it is.
True. Very true.
So,
and what Clemson's doing is important, because this is the educational piece we talked about a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, absolutely.
This is what players need.
Mm-hmm.
And if every other school doesn't get on this, they're going to be left behind. Athletes want to know two things. They want to know, one, am I going to be taken care of? And two, is there anyone there to help me with that?
Right.
Well, Clemson just answered both questions with a resounding yes.
Yeah, and that's going to become par and parcel for the course.
Oh, yes.
Like that's going to become
not
normal.
the norm. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. No.
If that's not the norm in 5 years and people are doing it wrong. Absolutely. It's a good question.
Yeah, it is a great question. I totally agree. So, good stuff. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the hour with some more basketball. We'll also get a little hockey news to get to, and then we'll go into hour 2 with the top 5 with, of course, news you can use with our baseball previews and all of that stuff. What to watch over the weekend. So a lot to get to. Back after this, the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, Call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
All right, we're back here on the Gary Ayd Show, and let's go ahead and dive into just a little bit, Rich, with some of these games for tonight and also some of the hockey stuff. So let's pull up tonight's games. There's 6 games tonight. Let's start there.
Some good ones.
A lot of good ones. Liking it a lot. I think really when I look at this list, a couple of games jump out to me. I think Cleveland and Miami, for fans of maybe more traditional NBA basketball, I think will like this game. This game promises to be, for the times, relatively low scoring. So if you're into a more traditional basketball score, this is probably the pre-ultimate matchup you can hope for in the NBA right now, because both of these teams regularly hold teams to under 110 points. They're probably the only 2 teams that do that in the whole league.
Right. And this is huge. Miami's looking at this as part of a 2-game series they'll be having in the next week or so with Cleveland. Miami's looking at this as crucial.
Yes. Oh, they have to be.
Yes. And they say this is probably the most important series they're going to play this month. Because it can dictate a lot. They can put a little hurting on Cleveland's stronghold on 4th place, and they could jump in and solidify the top 6 spot with a couple of wins. It's going to be it's always a good game when they play, and that one's going to be fun. That's actually one of the games tonight that I want to see. And it is on NBA TV for those who partake.
That's a good game. It's a great game.
What about Toronto and the Lakers? The Raptors have been playing better.
Yes, they have.
And Siakam is balling out.
He's a beast. Let's I look at this game and I think to myself, it's so important for both teams. So we're getting to the point now where any of these teams that are on the bubble that are trying to get in either into the play-in or solidify a actual playoff spot, you're running out of games to make the run, and so every loss is magnified. The Lakers can't afford to lose this game. This is a team in Toronto that is okay. They're fundamentally sound, but they're imminently beatable. And these are the games for the rest of your schedule. If you're the Lakers, these are the games you have to win, because you're going to lose to some of the teams that are better than you or as good or better. Like, so if you're the Lakers, teams like this, like Toronto, these like middle of the pack teams are the games you have to win. You can't afford to lose the coin flips, in other words. You assume you're going to beat the Charlottes or the Spurs of the world. You're assuming you're going to lose to the Milwaukees or the Denvers of the world, but it's the Torontos, it's the Portlands, it's the Minnesotas. Those are the games you have to win now. That could go either way. You don't have the luxury of losing those. So you have Toronto coming up today. You got the Knicks tomorrow, like we said. Then you have New Orleans and Houston, Dallas, and Orlando. You should really, if you're the Lakers, win every one of those games. You kind of need to. One big win streak like that would really help, like, a lot. If you lose one of those games, I don't think it kills you. Let's say you lose to either Dallas or New York. That's okay. But then you got...
I think if they lose one, it might be Toronto.
Okay.
Toronto is one of those teams, and I've heard some NBA people say this, that they don't want to have to face in the first round of a playoff game or a first round playoff series. Just because this is an anything can happen kind of team. I saw them 4 nights ago. They looked great. I saw them the night before last against the Clippers, and they looked great until they didn't.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But Siakam, Anunoby, and Barnes are hard to stop.
It's interesting because you're right. A lot of people I respect the opinion of do really like this Toronto team. And
they're well coached.
And I gotta tell you, I just don't see it. They don't turn the ball over. They are fundamentally sound, like I said a minute ago, which is indicative of what you just said, them being well coached. But
they have great wings.
But they don't worry me at all. I mean, they're 3 games under 500 for a reason.
I know, but they're also a different team since Jakob Poeltl got there.
Yeah,
that was one of the most understated acquisitions.
Yeah, that was an important one because they needed some
at deadline time, and it showed. I've seen them play a few times now, and it has showed. They're a different team with him on the court, and they can beat teams.
Yeah, if I'm the Lakers in this stretch here, I'm much more worried about New York and Dallas than I am about Toronto.
I think where they are, they should be concerned with all of them.
Well, they have to win all these games, and that was my original point. If you're any of these teams, that the same goes for Toronto. I know I'm focusing on the Lakers here, but the same goes for Toronto or any of these teams that are on the bubble right now. When you have 50-50 games or less, 50-50 games or games against teams you're supposed to beat, you have to bat about 9 out of 10 in those the rest of the way.
Right.
That's what I was
see, and
driving
immediately
home.
The Lakers, this is a home game.
Right.
That should be an advantage.
You need to win this
game. Big advantage.
Yes. Yep. They're home against Toronto today, and they're home against the Knicks Sunday. These 2 games they should win because not only are you home both games, but you're equal or better than both teams. Right. And you have a day in between the 2 games at home. So you have everything going for you here other than, of course, the health of your roster. But then you have 2 really bad teams on the road, back-to-back, Toronto, New Orleans and Houston. Yeah, they are road back-to-backs, but you should win both. And that's why I think Dallas, when they come home after the road back-to-back, maybe could be a bit of a trap game. Dallas is a weird team, but they certainly have top flight talent. Luka and or Kyrie have a big game. You could easily see the Lakers losing that game. I think they have to win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 of these games. They need to win 5 of them.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I just saw them beat Dallas a week ago, didn't I?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you did.
Very beatable because outside of the top 2 guys, I'm not in love with the Dallas.
No,
team.
Their roster leaves a lot to be desired. There's no question about it.
Hardaway's a decent player.
Yep.
As is Christian Wood.
That's it. That's their whole team.
Decent.
Yeah. Yep.
Decent and contender. That gap isn't like this. It's like this.
Right. Absolutely. 100%.
And your 3rd and 4th best players have to be a little more than decent to be a contender.
Agreed.
That's why I don't believe in that team.
2 more games that interest me. Atlanta and Washington. You talk about 2 teams in the same boat in desperation mode. They're both
Yes.
fighting the same battle for the same relative spot. And this is, if I'm not mistaken, Rich, isn't this the back end of a home and home doubleheader between these two?
Yes.
Because Atlanta
Yes.
beat Washington yesterday, and now Washington gets a chance to play them at home today. What do you think of this game?
And that is an interesting game. I think Atlanta's a hard team to make anything out
they're
of
so
too.
confusing.
They're oh, jeez, they're like bipolar. I don't know
They
what
really
Hawks
are.
team I don't know what Hawks team I'm gonna see from one night to the other. What? I was trying to think of a word, and for some reason, the first one that came to me is myopic, and I'm like, no, that doesn't
That's
work.
not right. Yeah.
I don't know what Hawks team I'm going to see on every given night. With the Wizards, at least I know they're playing fairly well. When Beal's there, they're tough. Kuzma's the real deal,
Yes.
and they have some pieces.
Yep.
But which Hawks team do you see?
And
The only thing I know about the Hawks on a day-to-day basis is Young's going to shoot a lot, and he does move the ball.
Yep.
I don't know if Collins is going to show up.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to get Capella involved in anything.
Yeah, that's the question. And Dylan's posting in here. Did the Hawks get the coach yet? Yeah, they signed Quinn Snyder to a multi-year deal, the former Jazz coach. So that's a really good one. Yep, they did.
And I'm glad they signed him to a long-term deal, because now Trae Young doesn't have anyone to blame.
That's right.
Although he might.
He'll try anyway.
Yeah. But no, you give somebody 4 and 5 years on a deal, it's like, hey, this guy's got the rudders for a while, unless he screws up royally.
That's right. That's right.
And how do you figure John Collins? He'll come off like a 22-9 game and have 12-6.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter the opponent. You just never know which John Collins is going to show up.
It's true. Very true.
So the Hawks are hard for me to figure out.
Oh, they really are. They're very difficult. And
I'll leave them to you.
well, I'll say this about the Hawks, since I'm going to be left to untangle this mess. To me, I'm just going to quote Bill Parcells. You are what your record says you are. This is a middling team that is not good, is not bad. It just is. They're directionless as far as I'm concerned. They have no appreciable upside to this roster. It's not like anyone on this team is going to magically get like significantly better. Collins is what he is. Young is what he is. Capella is what he is. They got rid of the one guy I thought had some upside to develop, and that was Kevin Huerter. He's not there anymore.
And he's crushing it in Sacramento.
Yeah, right. So to me, the question is, if I'm Atlanta, not so much what's going to happen this year. We're going to be 500 this year. That's what's going to happen. We may or may not get in the playoffs. We may or may not win a game in the playoffs. But the question is, how do we get better from here? Or do we have to go the other direction and bottom out again and rebuild? I think there's a real question of direction to be asked and answered in this offseason for the Hawks. Me personally, I would move on from either Young or Collins. I don't think I would trade both, because I don't want to do a total just blow it up, because that's, for a team like Atlanta, that could be decades. So I don't want to do that, but I want to move one of them, because I can't have my two best players capped out, and that cap is basically, second-rate all-star at the highest. I can't have that. So I need to create some upside for my future team. And to do that, I think I need to move one of those assets to get assets that can turn into that upside. So I would move one of the two.
Which one? Trae Young is maddening to deal with.
He is.
But
I think I move
Collins is maddening on the court.
I move Collins because I think Trae Young, as much as I have as just a pure basketball analyst, all kinds of questions about his ability to be he's not a top player on the championship team. I don't even know if he could be a second player on the championship team. As much as I have those questions, The fact is, this is as much a business, more a business than it is a game. And Trae Young and Atlanta have connected on a business level, and he has value that go beyond his capabilities on the court. So for that reason, I don't want to reset that. I have a marketing piece if I'm Atlanta. So he has that value. Collins doesn't bring that to the table, and he's equally frustrating on the court. So I would move Collins. And even if I didn't get a future star, if I got, like, let's say a first round pick and a good piece, like let's say I got someone the equivalent of, I don't know, let's go with someone like a Josh Giddey type. Someone like that who's like good, might still get a little bit better, but is easily like, okay, this is what he is. That's what I'm looking for. Because John Collins, I don't know what the hell he is. He's not a 4. He's not a 3. He's not a 2. Like, he's too hard to fit.
He's there.
He's there. And he's
That's
wicked,
about it.
and he's wicked athletic. He puts up decent numbers. He
can
plays
get up
most
and down
nights.
the floor.
Like, so there's stuff to like about him, but none of it seems to fit anywhere where you can maximize its impact.
Consistency.
It's just hard to put him. It's hard to see where I can get impact from him. I get numbers, but I don't get impact.
Right.
So
see, and I have Trae Young a little below Zach LaVine.
That's about right, I would say.
Because neither of them make their teammates any better to an extent of being a contender or let alone a champion.
Yep. Agreed.
But they do put up numbers. And Trae Young is like there. Another quick point about Atlanta, I want your opinion on. A lot of NBA players live there.
Yes.
Why can't they attract free agents?
You know, I think there's a couple of reasons. I think history matters. And when I say history, I don't mean like knowing the years of who did what when. I'm talking about history is what creates reputations. And reputations are what you use to acquire free agents. And Atlanta's history, and thus its reputation, is one of misery, underachievement, and irrelevancy. It just is. And I think had they kept the team together longer, the Al Horford, the Kyle Kuzma, the Jeff Teague, if they had kept that team together, Kyle Korver. Korver, yeah, I said Kuzma, I meant Korver. Had they kept that team together a few more years, they wouldn't have won a championship. They probably wouldn't have even equaled the 60-win team they had, but they would have won 50-something games for another few years in a row, and that might have begun to turn that reputation and give them the opportunity to attract free agents. I think they got too trigger happy. They tried to go from good to champion overnight, and it backfired. And I don't believe this Trae Young-led team is capable of equaling even that. So I think the reason, to answer your question, they need to have a sustained period of relevancy. They need to be what the Jazz have been for a little while. Just there every year, consistent, credible, decent, because they have advantages that Utah doesn't have because of the things you mentioned. So I think they could get there if they would be relevant for a while. I just think when you think Hawks, you think losing. And that stems from history, which has turned into their reputation. And so that's why I think history matters a great deal. I think your past absolutely influences your future if you're consistent enough with that past. You know, it's one thing if you're a team that goes through ebbs and flows. Take Detroit, for example. I don't think Detroit has a reputation of being a losing city. They're a bad team right now, but they've had great eras and bad eras and decent eras. There's a handful of these teams. The Lakers are almost always good. The Celtics are usually good. The Knicks are usually bad. You know, the Hawks are usually bad. The Spurs are usually good. So, you know, I think your reputation comes from long periods of time. And you just have to change that if you're Atlanta. That's what I think. And you'll get free agents.
But Sacramento.
Well, Sacramento didn't get free agents. They traded for all their guys and drafted them.
Yeah.
No one signed there. They traded for Sabonis. They traded for Herter. And they drafted Fox. Right? And they drafted the kid from Baylor, Mitchell.
Right.
You know,
They did sign Harrison Barnes.
yes, they overpaid illustriously for him. You know,
He's still there.
I mean, he's good, but my point is he's not a name free agent, and they overpaid him compared to anything else he would have gotten. I think exactly. Dylan's hitting it. Atlanta is weird. You think the city is attractive, but their teams are never relevant, and you never hear of any Atlanta fans. Good business city, terrible sports city. I agree with that, with the exception of the Braves.
Yeah.
So, baseball does count.
Yes, it does.
And they've had a lot more than one good year. They won 18 divisions in a row. And they've been good again for the last 5. So that second comment's totally off base. The first one I generally agree with the exception of the Braves. I mean, the Falcons,
because even the Falcons are hit and miss.
They're mostly miss.
Yeah.
I mean, even when they're good, they're usually just like okay good. They're not great. And then the one time they were great, they choked in the greatest way possible. So
it was fun though.
Oh, it was good times.
It was funny to watch.
Unless you're Matt Ryan, it wasn't so much fun.
Right.
All right. Well, let's take a break. We'll come back. We got the top 5 around the corner. Hour 2 is up next. The Gary Ayd Show back after this here on The Cave. All righty, welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, cavetalkradio.com, the Cave Talk Radio app. Great to have you aboard. Hour 2, Gary Ayd, Rich Anselmo, top of the hour, time for the top 5.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time for King Talk Radio's Top 5.
All righty, we are back, and it's time for the top 5. What do we got today, Rich?
We'll finish off the theme of the week. Your top 5 NBA records that will never be broken. You should have some fun with this.
Yes, AC Green's consecutive games played streak. That's the first one that comes to my mind. Although Bridges is giving a nice little run, but he's got a long way to go.
Yeah, he does. Mr. Anti-Load Management.
That's right. That's gonna be a tough one. Wilt's single season scoring average and rebounding average, for that matter, I think is unlikely to ever be touched. I mean, averaging 50 is just cartoonish.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Those are video game numbers.
Even better. I mean, it's crazy. So that's another one. I think John Stockton's assist record is going to be really, really tough to approach. And the steals record, for that matter. Both are really, really out there.
They are. Assists is hard because it's not one guy doing it anymore.
Right.
It's more collaborative than it was.
And even when it was one guy doing it, look at Chris Paul, look at Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
They're not going to be, I mean, Kidd's retired, of course. Paul's not going to be close, probably. You know, he might get.
Although both of them, Paul and Kidd, have had good numbers.
They've had very good numbers. And maybe Paul will finish within like 1,500 of Stockton. But, you know, at the best, I mean, Kidd's like 3,000 behind and he's second place right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's just, I think that's a tough one. The steals are almost as tough. Few others that I think will be tough. No one's approaching the career rebounding marks of Russell or Chamberlain. The total rebounds, those will never be touched. I don't believe.
I don't disagree with you there at all.
Olajuwon's block record is going to be hard because when he acquired those blocks, there was much more post one-on-one, and there was also no defensive 3 seconds. Now, getting a block more times than not means doing it in space or as a weak side help defender coming over to challenge a driver at the rim. Those are harder blocks to get than a post contest. So it's going to be much, much harder to accumulate blocks than it used to be. I think the numbers at the names at the top of that list are going to be fairly etched in stone for the foreseeable future.
You know, talking about the rebound record, averages, Chamberlain averaged 22.9.
Mm-hmm.
Russell averaged 22.4.
Yeah.
The next guy's Bob Pettit at 16.2.
Right. Who's the most recent guy who's the highest recent guy on the list?
Andre Drummond is at 12.8.
And no one will let him play.
He's 12th on the list, but he can't find time.
Yep.
Rudy Gobert is 21st at 11.6.
Think about that Think about that for a second. 11.6, and he's the 21st greatest rebounder by average in NBA history. When you think about it, you think 10 rebounds, like it's just kind of like, you know, whatever. It's a pretty big deal. I mean, there's not many guys that can do that, is what that tells me.
Right. Dwight Howard's 19th all time at 11.78.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, Howard was a monster.
You know who's not on this list?
Who's that?
Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, he averaged like 10 point something, 10.3 or 10.
Let me see if I can find him. He's not in the top 25. 29th, 10.85.
Mm-hmm.
He's behind Dave DeBusschere.
That is crazy.
Hakeem Olajuwon's 27th, and Red Kerr is 26.
Johnny Red Kerr.
Yes.
Oh, you talk about a personality. That guy had more personality than anything. Oh, man, what a personality he was. Let's see. Some other records that won't be broken. I think another one that's going to be, obviously it's a team record, 8 straight championships. Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah. In the salary cap era, that's almost impossible.
Yeah, it is impossible. That's not happening. No one's getting 8 straight championships. I'll tell you what. I know it's an equals record because he equaled what the Celtics did, but LeBron going to all those finals in a row. What was it? 8 finals in a row or 9 finals in a row? Like that's not happening again. I think that's going to be hard to do. I think that's a really good one. So that's another one.
That is something I don't think you'll see.
8 straight finals from 2011 to 2018. So that's
how many did Russell go to?
I was just gonna say I don't think that's a record. I think Russell might have gone to 9, or even 10 in a row because they lost the year they lost. They lost in the finals, right? They in 67. They lost they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to the 76ers that year, who won in the finals. So let's see. Trying to see. Here we go. Bill Russell. Let's see. So he went to the finals from 1956-57 through it's like 1965-66. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 straight finals for Bill Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the record. That's not happening.
No.
Right? There were no off years, 57, 58, 58, 59. Yeah, nope. I'm just double checking here. Yeah, 10 straight finals. They lost in the Eastern Conference Finals in 66, 67, and then won the next 2 finals. So is basically, I think his entire career, he was in the finals, like except for 1 year for his entire career. Because I think he was a rookie in 1956, 57. So that was his rookie year. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go.
Isn't it?
Oh, that's insane. So that's another good record. 10 straight NBA finals. What about I'll give you one more. What about Phil Jackson's record for championships? He got, what is he, 13 as combined between coach, because he won 11 as a coach
player.
and 2 as a player. So that's 13. That's going to be, I mean, even 11 as a coach, that's by far a record. I mean, because
I don't see 13 being touched.
Yeah, so you could use it combined, or you could just go with his coaching record. Because if you look at Auerbach, I think he didn't coach the last 2 championships, so he has as a coach, what is it? I guess 9 titles.
Right.
Right. So he would be by far second. I mean, who's even third? Does the third guy even have 4? I mean, like, who would be third? Because I mean, Riley, I guess, did he have all 5 with the Lakers? Was he the coach for all 5 Showtime champions? Pat Riley?
At least 4 of the 5.
So he's got 5 or 6. So he'd probably be next in line because he has the one with Miami and either 4 or 5 with the Lakers. So yeah, so no, I think Phil Jackson's record of 11 titles as a coach is pretty insane. So there's a lot of these here. Let's try to narrow this down and put them in an order. So the ones I'm going with: 10 straight finals by Bill Russell, 11 championships as a coach for Phil Jackson. Wilt's scoring and rebounding record for a season average in 1962. I'm just gonna put them together as one. I'm gonna do the same thing with
you can just make Wilt a category.
You really could. But I'm gonna go just with his season averages for that year. I'm gonna put Stockton's assists and steals record as its own thing, the same way with Wilt's scoring and rebounding's average that year. AC Green in his consecutive game streak. I think those are the 5 I'm going to march forward with. I'm leaving off some good ones. I'm leaving off Scott Skiles' assist record in the game is a pretty cool one. I'm leaving off the record for rebounds, total rebounds, as well as rebounding average. I'm leaving off the block shots totals. So I'm leaving off some good ones, but I think as far as completely untouchable, I'm going to take off Stockton's. I'm going to put the total rebounds in its place. No one's going to come close to those numbers. So I'm going to go with the 5 I'm going forward with, and then I'll order them, are Green's consecutive game streak, Russell's finals streak, Phil Jackson's total rings as a coach, Wilt Chamberlain's season averages in 62 of 50 points and 25 rebounds per game, and the total career rebounding record, again, held by Wilt Chamberlain. Those are the 5 I'm going with. I think all 5 are completely and totally beyond reproach. I'd be shocked if any of them ever got even sniffed. So putting these in order is going to be really hard because they're all untouchable as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to go ahead and put Green's streak at 5. And the only reason is because we have a guy with a pretty substantial active streak right now who's still pretty young. And I got to put something at 5.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put Green at 5, only for that reason. I guess I'm going to put Russell's championship run, finals run at 4, only because that's of the ones on this list, that's the one that's been challenged the most aggressively. LeBron did it 8 straight years.
Right.
So he came relatively close.
I don't think anybody else does it.
Probably not. But again, I have to put these in an order.
Close.
I have to put these in an order somehow. So I'm going to put that at 4. 3, I'm going to put the shot blocks. I just think with the way the game is played now, getting that many blocked shots is going to be really, really difficult, but maybe not impossible, but very, very difficult. Let's see. Do I want to put this order around? No, I think that's good. Number 2, I'm going to go. No, I'm sorry, not the shot blocks. I didn't include them. I'm going with, I knew I got something wrong there. Yeah, I'm not going with the shot blocks at 3. Number 3 is going to be, I believe I'm going to go with the ring total of Phil Jackson at 3. I guess I could see a coach coming along, having an ungodly success and coming somewhat close to that, more so than I could see the other 2. So I'm going to put Phil Jackson's 11 rings as a coach at 3.
Okay.
I'm going to put at 2, the scoring and rebounding averages of Wilt Chamberlain. And number 1, I'm going to put Wilt Chamberlain's career total and rebounds as the single most unapproachable record in NBA history. No one's going to come close to that.
For a career, no.
Yeah. Yep. So,
I mean, Rodman had some amazing years, numbers-wise.
Yep.
He's not in the top 25.
Right. Yeah, that's why I put that higher, because someone could conceivably average close to 20 rebounds for like one random season. But, for a career total of 22,000 or whatever it is, that's never happening. So there you have it. That is the top 5 for today.
I thought that one would be the most fun.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
All right. I think if either one of us really dug deep, we would come up with more.
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, I cut about 3 or 4 really good ones, and
they all belonged.
Like you said, if you dug more, you'd find more. But I mean, the good thing about this list is you didn't have to dig very deep to find a lot of records that are going to be very challenging to approach.
Right.
So there you have it. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and we will do our baseball preview. So today, who we got in the Centrals, Rich? What are we doing today?
I'm looking here to see on my notes what we had.
All right. Well, while you figure that out, we'll hit the break. We'll come back. We'll continue our baseball preview. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
All righty, we're back. Here's a quick little interesting factoid. I'm surprised this hasn't happened before or since, to be honest with you, especially in the modern NBA. So I think this one will eventually happen again. But it's interesting that only Nate Archibald has led the league in scoring and assist average in the same season. I'm surprised Harden never pulled that off, to be honest with you. Of all the people, he would have been the one I would have thought might have pulled that off.
Or Westbrook.
Yeah, or Westbrook. Yep.
The year Wilt led in assists, he only averaged about 24 points.
Right.
I'm saying only.
Yeah, so anyway, that was just one other one that came to mind during the break. All right, so what do we got for the baseball previews today?
Okay, we did the Royals in the American League. Who did we do yesterday?
All right, let me take a look at this.
Detroit.
Yep, we did Detroit and Cincinnati yesterday.
Okay, we have the Cardinals today.
We do.
In the
Central, the NL Central.
And geez, who do we have in the American League Central? Oh, the Twins.
No, we did the Twins yesterday. We have in the Central. So we got the Cardinals. Let's start with the Cardinals, and then in the American League today, we
did the Twins in Detroit.
Yeah, so the American League today, we have the Guardians and we have the Cardinals today. And that leaves left to start next week is the White Sox in the American League, and in the National League Central, that leaves us with the Brewers. So today is the Cardinals in the NL and the Guardians in the AL. So let's start with the Cardinals. This is a team, in my opinion, that is probably due for a bit of a course correction. They're one of these teams, kind of like the Steelers in the NFL. They never really seem to fall too far when they go through a period of some culling, maybe, of their talent. They've kind of aged a little bit in certain spots. But that said, they still have some guys on this team that are pretty good. They have a lot of institutional know-how and knowledge. I don't know what their ceiling is this year, but I expect this team, Rich, to be in the 90-ish win mark one way or the other.
They moved a lot of guys. I'm curious how their outfield's going to look. I mean, remember they traded Rosarena and Tommy Pham. They cleared out space because they had all this depth, but then they sent Bader to the Yankees.
Yep. You still got Wilson
In spring-
Contreras at catcher.
In spring training, they don't know who their outfielders are. They got this kid Dylan Carson, who at one time was a phenom. Tyler O'Neill's a Gold Glover, but he's never healthy. You got Nootbaar, who's going to be good. And then you have some prospects. So, and their number 4 prospect is Jordan Walker. He might end up being a starter. But I've never seen their outfield in such flux.
No, it's...
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it is in flux. And, you know, I look at some of their other people, like you got Arenado and you got Contreras. These guys are hitting their 30s now. Arenado is 31. Contreras is 30. Catcher's age sort of in dog years. A guy I think is going to be really important for them is their shortstop, Paul DeYoung. I think they need a lot from him this year.
Yes. I don't see a breakdown in Arenado yet. Although he's at a point where he's not going to get any better.
Right.
He is still a very, very good player. But, I mean, they've had a lot of star position players. But when they have enough pitching, they're dangerous. When they don't, they're not. Mikolas is the only guy I know who's going to be in the rotation. Flaherty is inconsistent as a person could be. Matz is always hurt. You got Adam Wainwright, but last year he fell apart.
Yeah, he did.
And I know they're going to retire him, or they're going to have, retirement stuff for him all year, but I don't know. There's just not there's not enough there. Is Drew Verhagen going to all of a sudden become a good pitcher? Matthew Liberatore? Jake Woodford? Any of these guys?
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks in that pitching staff. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you're just naming off the names. There's nothing there that excites you.
There's not enough history.
Yep, there's none.
So you don't know what they're going to be.
That's why I think this is a team that is primed for kind of a step back this year. I think it would require a lot of smoke and mirrors and a really good offense to keep them in the playoff hunt this year. I just think they have a lot of question marks.
They do.
Now, the good news for them, that division is not good.
Right.
The Brewers are decent, but besides that division is pretty terrible. Although I think the Cubs, like we were saying when we were doing their preview a couple days ago, I think they've made a lot of moves in the right direction. In fact, I could see them finishing ahead of the Cardinals because they made moves, in my view, in a positive direction, while the Cardinals have sort of just atrophied and haven't really restocked the cupboards, so to speak.
Right. Speaking of Contreras, the team we do Monday is the one that has him, the Brewers.
Yep. So there you go.
Not a good player to lose, but
no, that's a fact. Let's go over to our AL team today, the Guardianas. This is
the Guardianas.
You know well. What do you see with this team this year?
Mike Zunino's a catcher. And he does not have any of the issues that he had last year from his surgeries. They were worried if he was going to be ready for opening day, but he's looked good so far in the summer. They've got pieces in a lot of places. Jimenez is a good second baseman, although could play short. But he won't because Ahmed Rosario's there. And, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Josh Bell is there, as the Padres did not re-sign him. And whoever between him and Josh Naylor doesn't play first is going to be a DH. I like their outfield. It gets a little complicated. Miles Straw, who didn't hit last year, is still probably the best defensive center fielder in the league. Stephen Kwan has earned it. And Oscar Gonzalez. I mean, they do need depth there, but they have guys that started a lot last year and produced. They're not a bad team. Where they really have it is their pitching. Stick with what you know. You know, Shane Bieber's excellent. Tristan McKenzie had a great year last year, and he throws smoke. Aaron Savali and Jack Plesac, they're good 4th and 5 guys, long as they can stay healthy. And Cal Quantrill's a wild card in this. That could be 5 starting pitchers. And if that doesn't work, man, they've got a lot of people waiting in AAA. They're loaded with pitchers. And they have a good bullpen.
What's the status of Tito Francona?
Right now, he's playing in the Classic.
You managing, you mean?
Or, yeah, managing in the Classic. So I don't see why he won't be there.
Yeah, because I know he had some health problems last year.
Yeah, he was good enough to do this. He was going to, if he didn't do this, miss a little bit of spring training anyway. But he's there. And he will be.
Yep. All right, good. Yeah, because he's a great manager. He's one of the impact guys as far as I'm concerned.
He's one of the reasons, in my opinion, that they're as good as they are, despite losing talent, which they do.
No, it's true. All right, well, there you have it. That's our baseball preview. Let's take a break. We'll come
before we go off that. Have you seen any of this championship? The WBC championship?
No. I generally don't watch it.
Shohei Ohtani is throwing smoke.
Uh-oh.
I saw him against China and against the US. I mean, just throwing heat. He's throwing change-ups at 99.
Yikes.
And he's hitting.
Jeez.
And on MLB Network after the game yesterday, Cliff Floyd brought up a good point. Who wouldn't want to play with this guy? And knowing you also get the benefit of playing with a generational guy like Mike Trout, why can't that team attract people?
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a problem. One thing I'll say about the World Baseball Classic, the only thing that I have gotten from it so far was an article I saw today written by Jeff Passan, which, because they're playing under the traditional baseball rules while spring is playing under the new rules, and it was used as a compare and contrast, and it's stark. It's something like 35 minutes on average shorter with the new rules per game. Batting average on balls in play is up about 20% or 15%. And then all the other metrics they evaluated, like stolen bases and everything else, was up as well. So, and strikeouts were slightly down. So basically the new rules, particularly the pitch clock, are doing exactly as they were intended. And the World Baseball Classic is serving as a nice control in sort of a head-to-head experiment, if you will, an A/B test. So to me, that's the best value of the World Baseball Classic right now for me. I don't get into international competitions. I don't care about the Olympics either. If it's not the US, I'm not that interested. But
well, the US is there.
Well, I know, but so is everyone else. I care about Major League Baseball and the NBA. I don't care about, like, international competition that involves the US and other teams. It's just not my jam. It never has been. But
okay.
But yeah.
Like it.
I'm happy that it's going on, because it is providing this living live context as sort of a test for these new rules and their impact. And it's pretty intense, and I'm pretty happy about it.
And just what I've seen,
yep,
I've noticed the difference.
Yes.
I mean, and it is a stark difference.
Oh, it's wonderful. It really is. Yeah, that's what we're talking about right now, John. I think the pitch clock was absolutely 100% necessary. 1,000%. I mean,
I agree, but I just hate the idea of any time in the sport.
yeah,
But it had to happen.
it had to happen. I mean, the truth of the matter is, had the sport not gotten away from itself, because forever there was no need for it because the games still were played at a comfortable pace just naturally because of the way the game was played. Over the
Right.
last 20 or so years, that has changed because of the advent of advanced analytics, which the design of involves working counts, taking pitches, stepping out of the plate, thinking too much. All of these things elongate the game and slow down the action during that time. And ultimately, that's why this is necessary. That's where it comes from.
I was at one of the Pirates games I was at last year in the 8th inning, and I'm getting itchy by this point. Pittsburgh brings in a reliever. I don't remember who it wasn't their closer. He threw 3 pitches in 4 minutes.
That's awful. That's terrible.
Fans are cheering, and I'm like, "What are you cheering for? Nothing's going on."
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah.
4 minutes.
Well, and that was one of the things that Passon wrote in this article was that when you took the difference in time played and all of the metrics, the stolen bases, the batting averages on balls in play, everything, he said that essentially what you did is you shaved off 36 minutes of dead time when literally nothing was happening because there was more total action in 36 minutes of less total time. So you're talking about 36 minutes of dead air. Imagine a radio show of this length, 2 hours, that had 36 minutes of nothing. That's what you cut out of baseball with this, based on this one example. That's huge.
Yeah,
it was 36 minutes of nothing. Zero. Like, how anyone could be against this, like, you don't watch.
There will be people.
Oh, there's a lot of them. But like,
I know.
Like, man, there's nothing you're missing. You literally were saved from nothing. They took nothing and threw it out.
To answer John's question, I have seen some ball this year, but I haven't seen a check, so I don't know if it's still going on. If they're still checking the pitchers.
There'll probably be occasional spot checks, but that became a thing the last year or so because of the Garrett Cole story. That was just kind of blew up. It was one of those things that there was an overreaction to it, and it's probably going to go back to normal. Probably already has.
Well, see, they may still be doing it, and I just haven't seen it. I haven't watched that much spring training.
Right. Yeah, me either. But my hunch, my expectation is that you won't see that nearly as much as you have been the last year or two.
I hope not. Because a guy comes in, gets out one batter. He doesn't need 45 seconds of being frisked like you're in an airport.
Right. Well, that's what happened to Damian Lillard when he scored his 70-point game recently. He was drug tested after that game. Same thing happened to Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, that's random.
Yeah. It's almost like I can almost understand the reaction to test someone when they do something so out of the ordinary, but
I don't know.
But then to claim it's random at the same time is like, okay, it's obviously not both.
How many times has Lillard gone over 50? It's not like 71 so far out of reach for him.
No, that's true. Quick little pivot to football. Giants.
Oh yeah, you said you had some news.
Yeah, well, Dylan just kind of shared it. I saw this quote. I meant to bring it up. The Giants GM Joe Schoen is, quote, ready to spend in free agency. His quote is, "We're not shopping for minimum players anymore." It's pretty declarative.
Yeah,
I like to hear that. They need a receiver.
Yeah, they do.
I would be on the phone trying to see where is he? Arizona or Houston? I forget where he is right now. Where's DeAndre Hopkins? Is he still in Arizona? Because
I'm not sure.
He was hurt.
But I heard he was on the block.
He was out all last year. I'm pretty sure he's still in Arizona. I'm pretty sure he never went anywhere. That would be the guy I'd be going after. Yeah, he's on the Cardinals right now.
Yeah, and he is on the block. So.
He is. Yep, and even NJ.com, NewJersey.com has an article asking this very question, and I'm opining right now. Should the Giants trade for Hopkins? Yes. That's what they need. They need a difference maker at receiver. And Adam Thielen from the Vikings is also looks like he's going to be let loose or has been let loose. I would go after one or more of guys like that because right now the Giants receiving core is not scaring anybody.
Right.
Shepard's good when he's healthy, but he's always hurt. And to Dylan's point, Hopkins gets hurt a lot too.
He does.
Thielen might be the safer play, but he does. The problem I have with Thielen is at this stage in his career, he doesn't solve the Giants. See, the Giants don't have a problem of when healthy. They don't have a problem of pass catchers. They have a problem of playmakers and separation creators. And Thielen doesn't address either of those issues. Hopkins would.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Do they consider OBJ? He's working out for a bunch of teams.
Yeah, I think he should be in the mix, but he wouldn't be my answer. I would bring him in addition to at this stage. I would want Hopkins because to me, they need a guy who warps the defense, who causes defensive coordinators to game plan, who takes the top off the defense. They don't have that. And Thielen doesn't address that. I don't know that OBJ addresses that at this stage of his career either. Hopkins does. Now, if I could get Hopkins and one of those other two, I'd be cool with that. Or maybe you go with the other two. You still don't really address the issue, but at some point, a volume of options can make up for maybe the lack of an elite option. So I think if I'm the Giants, I'm going for either OBJ and Thielen, or I'm going for Hopkins.
Hopkins scares me because you know he's going to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
The way you said, if you took OBJ, it has to be in addition to. I feel that way about Hopkins.
Yeah, the thing with
John, I'll address your last question after the next break.
Here we go. All right, let's take that break. We'll come back. We'll address the hockey, and we'll do the news you can use to wrap up the show. The Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
All right. So not only can Rich tell you, John, how the Kraken are doing, but he can do more than that. He's got his own little podcast on this very topic daily. Rich, why don't you plug it real quick and answer John's question?
It's Full Press Kraken. You could find it any place you enjoy podcasts. It's Monday through Friday. It's usually available by 3 in the afternoon, and it's a lot of fun to do, and they're a very interesting team. They also played last night, fell behind, came back, and lost to Ottawa 5-4 in the last minutes. It's a disappointing loss. They are doing well. They're still in playoff position. They have 17 games left. If they win 9, they will be in the playoffs. They may not even have to win that many, depending on everything else around them. But it would be nice not to be in a wild card. We had 4 games last night that involved locals. 3 of the 4 teams showed up. Dallas, the first NHL team this year to score 10 goals in a game, trouncing the Sabres at Buffalo 10-4. The Islanders beat Pittsburgh 4-3. These are the 2 teams fighting for the first 2 wild card spots, or the 2 wild card spots, and that gives the Islanders a bit of a leg up. Patrick Kane scored his first goal as a Ranger last night. They beat Montreal 4-3. The New Jersey Devils handled Washington 3-2. And the Devils are 42-16-6. It's an amazing record, especially in a year when no one thought that was going to happen.
There you go.
The Rangers are at Buffalo on Saturday. If they get to Buffalo with the incoming weather, but we'll see.
So there you go. We're with the news you can use today, a couple of things I wanted to bring to the table.
Oh, absolutely.
The Rams are committed to Matt Stafford, but are facing salary cap hell, which is the cost of doing business the way they chose to do it. Now, I'm sure they don't regret it. They got a championship out of it, but
right.
They are potentially calling around looking for trade partners for Stafford. This, according to the LA Times. Another bit of interesting news is if you're looking at the NFL, that would be the Texans lost a draft pick and were fined $175,000 for cap violations, while the Niners got a bunch of compensatory picks for advancing the career of minority coaches in their organization and throughout. So
good for them.
Sure. Cool.
What?
Just all this like stuff designed to target, getting people hired because of their race or ethnicity. I just think is racist.
Did people get hired that didn't deserve it?
Oh, I'm not saying they didn't, but the fact that this program exists is what I'm, not thrilled about. Not that the individuals got hired. I don't know enough about it to answer that. But
well, I think Brian Flores is the reason that the fact the program exists still isn't good enough.
Well, Brian Flores might be the reason they got hired because he whined and screamed. I mean, it wasn't like the guy was blameless in his own demise. So I don't know. I don't like any kind of affirmative action programs in anything. Like, to me, race agnosticism is the only way forward. Acknowledging race in any way is racist, as far as I'm concerned. And I've always felt that way. Now,
like Kendrick Perkins did.
Yes, exactly. There you go. Speaking of the NBA, that was the other bit of news you can use. A lot of people don't like the Grizzlies. A lot of teams don't like the Grizzlies. The Warriors really don't like the Grizzlies. And Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green really don't like each other. And I'm all for it. I'm here for it. Let's go.
I want a series of them too in the playoffs.
Absolutely. 100%. Without question. Oh, man. Yeah, because if you watch the game the other night, Brooks was trying to bait Green into a technical. They were getting at it with each other. Those two plain don't like each other. I mean, Green is very easy not to like, so he's got a lot of people that don't like him.
So is Brooks, if you want to be honest.
Well, the Grizzlies as a team are sort of becoming like the Darth Vader of the NBA.
It's necessary.
They're taking on that persona, and I'm happy about it.
It is very necessary.
So what else we got here for some
I've
news?
got some stuff.
What do you got?
The Seahawks and Bobby Wagner have been discussing a reunion.
Really?
Y'all shouldn't have let him go in the first place.
Interesting. Well, that would be cool.
I hope he goes back.
That would be, yeah. I mean, that's where he really, that's where you think of him when you think of Bobby
Right.
Wagner. You think of Seattle, of course.
Sources say Lonzo Ball may need a third surgery on his knee, on his left knee. I don't even know what to say.
I mean, his career
He's
might be over.
25.
His career might be over at this point.
He's 25. I hate to see that.
Yeah. It's not good.
Fred VanVleet kind of let loose on the officials the other night.
Yes, he did.
He was fined $30,000, and he said the officiating criticism was, quote, unfortunate. Well, yeah, it was unfortunate for you. You lost $30K.
That's a lot of money, although not for a guy who makes however many millions, but still.
Right. He says you live and you learn and you move on. Came out authentic. It came out in real time. I wouldn't have done that if I felt like I had another option or outlet. I feel like I've exhausted my options this season, many different occasions. It's just one of those things. I'm human.
No, it makes sense.
And he has been very unhappy. Part of it was the Clippers went to the line 31 times and the Raptors only 14. But I'll tell you what, the Clippers drove to the basket. I watched a lot of that game. Clippers drove to the basket a lot.
Yes.
They were strong.
The Clippers are at their best when they're attacking the rim.
And having Westbrook there makes such a difference. The pace is better. The Westbrook to Zubats lobs were incredible. And he drives to the basket. So you see Kawhi driving to the basket, George driving to the basket. It's nice to see.
No, it is. It really is. They're at their best when they're doing that. One game we didn't get to earlier that I want to just touch on real quick when we were breaking down tonight's NBA games was the matchup between the Portland Trail Blazers and the Philadelphia 76ers. I think this is an interesting matchup. It looks like Harden may miss this game. That means who's going to have the bigger game, Embiid or Lillard, I think will basically determine this game. Neither team has a ton of other weapons, but Harris is a big one. I'm curious to see what type of additional role Harris takes on in this game if Harden, in fact, doesn't play.
A couple times this year, one of the two didn't play. Harris did take on a bigger role, but I still don't see enough called for him.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to happen.
All right. We got time for one more.
One more. Yuli Gurriel found a home. Former AL batting champion signed a non-roster deal yesterday with the Miami Marlins. I don't care if he's 38. I don't care if he hit 242 last year. If he doesn't make the Marlins, they're not looking at him hard enough.
I'm telling you, I was shocked to see that. I forgot he was that old. I didn't realize he's been around that long.
Great player when he was younger.
Yep. So there you go. All right. Well, we will be back next week. Looking forward to it. A lot of cool stuff to talk about next week, and we will be back to do it. Enjoy the games over the weekend, and we will see you on Monday, 10 to noon, the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.